Oh, yeah. What's up, fight fans? This is Sav from Global Fight Talk. Welcome to episode 1. I'm Sav Maddox. This is Dallas Owens. Dallas, can you get us started? How you doing today? What's going on?
I'm hanging there, man. Got all the farm animals fed, sitting, chilling. Enjoyed a good weekend of fights and what have you. How you been doing?
Been doing great, man. Did a little bit of traveling. I'm down here in Oklahoma now. Kind of watched the fights on the road, but rewatched them yesterday and pretty much got everything that I wanted to see. Excited. A lot of fights to go over. We can get started.
Way too many.
Yeah, most definitely. How about that intro though? Right? Have you seen that in a while?
Yeah, no, I hadn't in a while. I love it. I also want to add an aside of people at home. We don't condone trying to watch fights on the road. He was not driving, as far as any of us know.
Facts. Yeah, for legal purposes, I was not driving.
For legal purposes.
Yeah, let's get started with the DAZN fights. We got Pulev and Charr.
Yeah, man. Kubrat Pulev, Mahmoud Charr were in Pulev's home country of Bulgaria. It was a whole card. It was by like bet win or win bet something or other. Whole thing was kind of janky. There was a hilarious snafu. So Charr or Pulev comes out. He has like a bunch of like Bulgarian folk pipes of some sort. That was pretty cool. And then you got Mahmoud Charr coming out. He comes out, walks in. They start playing the German national anthem. But the funny thing about the German national anthem is there's a verse in there, the very first verse, that they stopped using because it was a Nazi thing. And they happened to just play the first verse of the German national anthem, which was a Nazi thing. Later on, like after the fight, Charr came out and was like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know how this could happen," which I wouldn't have known. Nobody would have noticed if he wouldn't have said anything, but he did. So I looked into it and I was like, dang, they straight up played the fucking Nazi anthem or whatever. But anyway, as far as the fight goes, it was a clinch fest, as you would expect. Kubrat Pulev, I don't know if y'all remember, he was in that, I forget what it was called. It was some sort of combat with like MMA versus boxing. He fought Frank Mir.
The triad.
Yeah, triad.
No, I was there, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I covered that live. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I remember doing research for the fight and was like, why is this the matchup? Like, Kubrat Pulev is a fucking animal, and Frank Mir is 40 and not even a striker, and we're talking about MMA gloves, but basically boxing rules. Like, should be a wash, and it was exactly what it was supposed to be. Went in there, completely ran through him. Ref almost let Frank Mir get killed. I remember being in the crowd and literally yelling, "Stop the fight." Like, I have a video of me yelling at the top of my lungs because he's just clearly just wobbly, and Kubrat's like, dude, he's done. Yeah, it was. That was the last time we saw him, right?
No, he's been in a couple of actual boxing fights since then. I don't really follow his career that closely. He's like 43 years old, and like never gonna get back to fighting Klitschko. You know, that part of his career is over. He's just, even Mahmoud Charr, he also fought Vitaly Klitschko, oddly enough, back in the day, and he had a few good fights. Every time he stepped up, he'd get knocked down. Pretty much the same with Pulev. Only Pulev's murderously powerful, powerful. So I thought, easy, going to be a KO win for Pulev. It wasn't. It was just they clinched. Pulev like pretty much washed him over, I think it was 10 rounds, and he got the unanimous decision. And so basically that's the only fight on that entire card that I care to even cover. The rest of it, I mean, the feedback on the mic, like on the production in the broadcast, was insane. Like, you couldn't hear anything other than but more or less that's the entire fight. Little Nazi national anthem, Pulev beating Charr, blah 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 blah.
It sounds like a little bit of the Alicia Baumgartner's last fight as far as the production goes, huh?
I would pray that it was like Alicia Baumgartner's last fight. I love that thing so much. I don't think anybody talks about how bizarre and bonkers the whole thing was. I wish it was like that. It was just more sad than that. Nothing you can really take home. I'm not going to remember a whole lot of it. to be honest. However,
Baumgartner's was at least memorable.
Absolutely memorable. I took a bunch of pictures and like videos while it was happening because I could not believe my eyes. And then Google Photos will like send me one of the videos. I'm like, oh my, I can't believe what were they doing?
Yeah, no, that was insane. And I just hope to God that Michaela Mayer one day gets a hold of that and just uses it as leverage so we can get
absolutely. And I hope Des Bryant's there to see it all.
Don't get started. Okay, so next card was a Matchroom card. It featured Liam Paro versus Richardson Hitchins. It was a split decision. What do you think about that fight?
Well, Liam Paro and Richardson Hitchins. I liked when his short said Hitchins, which I thought was really cool because he's boxing and all that stuff. As far as the decision goes, I don't know where 117, 111 to Paro came from. I have no idea where it came from. It was one of the wildest scores I've ever seen in my entire life. But the split decision, I mean, it was 116, 112, 116, 112, all for Hitchins, and then 117, 111 for Paro. The 116, 112 was about right. The 117 for 111, it was like, what? Like Nelson Vasquez. I wrote the judge's name down. It's Nelson Vasquez. I just need to remember that for next time because that was bonkers. Like that was a crazy. I don't know what he was watching, but honestly, it's boxing, baby. I'm not that surprised by it.
I need to start checking the judges because they usually read them in both boxing and MMA, right? They read them at the beginning of the fight, and you do a really good job of keeping track of these guys and women and knowing what they expect. But I need to start taking a look too because there's a couple of guys in MMA that just leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Well, a lot of them are both. Adelaide Bird, for instance, a terrible judge in MMA and boxing. I'm never going to forgive her for 118, 110 Canelo. But that's how I remember these judges is I don't remember the good cards or the good scorecards. I remember what? I have to look this guy up because it was so crazy. And then I commit it to memory. And then now I'm going to remember old Nelson Vasquez. But there was also on that same card, we had a couple of huge upsets on the undercard. Mark Castro, they've been setting him up for a few years now. He's showed a lot of promise and everything. Agustin Quintana, I think is how you say it, got a split decision over him. Castro could not move his head, not for the life of him. He was eating everything. By the 8th round, Quintana was just hooking like crazy, and the dude just couldn't get out of the way of him. I don't even know how that one was split, but it was. And then Jaleel Hackett is another huge upset. Jose Ramon Vasquez got split decision, 2 96-94s, and then won the other way, 96-94 for Hackett. I don't feel too strongly about that one way or the other, but it was a big upset, which I'm always a big fan of. But other than that was pretty much the old Matchroom card. All the while, so I watched the one during the day in Bulgaria. All the while, I got 3 screens going, baby. I got one on ESPN, I got the smaller one on DAZN, and then I got one over to the side watching the UFC. But with your more expertise lying in the UFC, how about you tell us about that card?
Well, it was a solid card, very solid card. And when people asked me about it, I kind of just told them the main event is solid. It's a good fight, but what makes it is a pay-per-view is top to bottom. You've got good scraps and good names all the way through. I mean, you had Aljamain Sterling on the undercard for God's sakes, and he was
he was throwing Evloev around that first round.
He kind of I don't know if he gassed out, but I guess Movsar just kind of turned it up on him, but we'll get to that. First, I want to talk about Randy Brown and Bryan Battle. That's one that I texted you before the fight and let you know, hey, you need to make sure you tune into this one because you got 2 young studs. Randy Brown's a little bit older, but both studs, both great strikers, both absolute killers, and they went out and it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. A lot more clinching than I expected, but some excellent kickboxing from both. Randy Brown showed that he belongs in the top of the division, and Bryan Battle showed that he also belongs in the top of the division. The most noteworthy thing is number one, Bryan Battle missed weight by 5 pounds, 4 pounds, whichever one. And Yeah. That's, I mean, here's what I'll say. I'll give him a pass because he did compete very recently, like 3 or 4 months ago. So that's a quick turnaround, especially when we're talking about cage fightings and big weight cuts. But to not even try, 5 pounds, that's a huge blunder. That's a black eye. And DC said this, Daniel Cormier said this on the broadcast, and it's something that I've said for a couple of years about weight cutting, and it goes back. The last time I can remember it is when we were talking about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, and it goes back way further than that. But when we're talking about a guy who didn't make weight and he didn't even get close, we're talking about a guy that didn't have to suffer and to get on that scale. We're talking about a guy that just maybe did a little bit of cutting and then got on the scale and said this is what it was. And then you have his opponent who actually made weight, and he suffered to get those last 2 pounds off, to get that last pound off, that last pound and a half. They say the last pound and a half is the hardest part, and that is the main struggle, the main suffer to get down in that weight that you're shooting for. So you got a guy that did go through that the day before the fight, and you got a guy that didn't go through that the day before the fight.
On top of that, the dude that went through it is the older fighter.
Right.
It's hard to lose weight when you're getting old. I'm learning that as I go. I'm like mid-30s now, and it's very difficult. And I'm not talking about dehydrating for fighting. I'm talking about just being healthy for the doctor visits. I can't imagine what it's like to try to get down to a fighting weight, especially when, I don't really know Bryan Battle's age, nor do I know Randy Brown's. I know he's in his mid-30s. I'm thinking. Do you know how old Bryan Battle is?
Oh, not sure, but I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, but for me, he knew he wasn't going to make weight. He knew he wasn't going to try. He was 5 pounds off. So why not just give the dude a heads up? Yo, dog, I'm going to be 5 pounds over. Yeah. Let's make this a catch weight real quick and save your dude the suffering of having to get down to a fight weight. I think it was I don't know if he'd missed the weight on purpose or anything, but he definitely decided to stop shedding weight on purpose, and he wanted that advantage. It's probably a good thing he got that advantage because Randy Brown was piecing him up from what I could see.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just looked it up. Randy Brown is 34. Bryan Battle is 30. It's close. 4 years. There is a little bit of difference, but also, I was also
30.
Yeah, in real time for sure. Yeah, especially we're talking about fighting years too. Way big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I thought Randy Brown won 2 of the 3 rounds, to be honest. If I were to score the fight, I would have gave it 29-28 for Randy Brown. And it's sad. He gets a little bit of his purse. I think it's 20% or something like that. But we're talking about a loss at the top of the welterweight division in the UFC. I don't know if it's worth that. I don't know if he was fairly compensated or not, but
yeah, what's 20%, at the
exactly.
end of the day.
Yeah. And then it means a lot more to Bryan Battle than it does to Randy Brown.
Absolutely. And imagine Brown's mindset. One, he cuts the weight, he's having a hard time, wakes up the next day. Oh, Battle wasn't even trying. Then they fight and it's a close fight, but he thought he won because I thought he won. He was the one in there. And then not getting the results you wanted after waking up to not having the results you wanted in the scales and stuff. I just can't imagine. Cannot imagine.
It's sad, and you get like I said, top of the division, you get a loss. Hopefully they run it back. They really oughta with a little bit of time for Bryan Battle to make weight if he's going to try this time, and then we can see what's going on. And like I said, I'm a fan of Bryan Battle. There's no shade or disrespect at all. It's just something that's sad to see.
It was an action fight. I like the whole thing. I'd watch it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'd watch it 5 times next year for sure. For sure. It's a good scrap. Anyway, next we got Movsar and Aljo. Very close fight. Movsar pulled out the split decision. I thought Aljo would get the nod there, but I didn't score it round by round. I didn't think we were going to go to the judges' scorecards there. Good fight. Aljo once again showed that he belongs in the top of the 135 division, which or 145, and a lot of people didn't think that was the case, and he keeps showing it time and time again that he's a very solid competitor, and he fills the weight out very well.
For people who don't know me specifically, I'm a boxing guy. I'm a boxing head, love boxing, and then in the UFC or MMA rather, in general, striking is what catches my eye, generally speaking. But this one, like I was watching boxing and would stop to turn up the Aljo fight because those scrambles were wild. He was pulling off, so like they were picking each other. Like I thought it was like awesome. It was awesome wrestling. I loved it. I feel like it was like two guys at the height of what you can do in MMA, you know, as far as grappling goes and wrestling goes. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody says they don't like grappling, they don't like wrestling, but it's really it's boring when only one person's good at it. When only one person is succeeding at it. When you got two guys that are both doing well in the grappling, in the jiu-jitsu, in the wrestling, you got guys slamming each other, you got guys doing front flips in the scrambles, people taking each other's back. It's very, very exciting and way different than what people are used to when you think of a grappler or a wrestler. So
absolutely, and it's been said before elsewhere, but it's like what people don't like about wrestling is when you get a guy down, you just lay and pray to like give yourself a little time to recover. You know, exactly. I'm not breaking any ground by saying this or anything, but yeah, what they were doing was very fun, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the difference. But that's the difference between a guy like when Aljo fought Peter Yan the second time, and he's pretty much dominated him, laying on him, stand on his back the whole time, and then it didn't work against Movsar. He's scrambling, he's getting takedowns. So you got two guys that are battling and both great grapplers. It makes for a good fight. I'm glad I got to see it. Next, Vincent Luque won by a submission. Nothing really groundbreaking there. I don't think.
Do you remember what the sub was? I like straight up just missed the whole. It was playing. I just missed the whole thing somehow.
It was a rear naked choke, I believe. Yeah,
come on, man.
Nothing groundbreaking. and I don't think that should have been on the main card, to be honest. You got Dominick Reyes
over freaking Aljo, dude. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Over Aljo and Bryan Battle and Randy Brown. Like that could have been easily a main event of a UFC fight night.
Absolutely. Easily. I don't know Garimbo. He's probably a very nice guy, but with a name like Thimba, you know he's got to be on the undercard, man. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah. So
I feel like that was like a Stephen A. Smith take that I just did there. I don't know nothing about it.
Absolutely, actually, 100%. But to be fair, I'm not very familiar with him as well. And yeah, I don't think that deserved to be on the main card, especially with Vincent Luque, who, I mean, they can say that he is still this killer and this monster, but the reality speaks, he's on the downslide of his career. He needs to be on the undercard. But anyway, especially on a card like this. Then you got Dominick Reyes versus Anthony Smith. I mean, that was really sad to see. I mean, like Anthony Smith lost one of his best friends and one of his trainers very recently. He absolutely broke down in tears on the way to the octagon, and even before the octagon. Yeah, on the way to and even before that, in the media day, he was doing an interview, and he was basically like, "I don't really care if I win. I just want to break something." And he kind of hinted a little bit like, "I don't care if it's me or if it's something on me or something on the other or my opponent that gets something broken. I just want to break something." And I remember hearing that and kind of feeling a little worried about it, but then when he broke down on the way to the octagon, it showed that he was in no condition to be fighting. Like I said, UFC don't give a shit about none of that. They continued to let him get in there and fight. Honestly, looked a little bit better. Like he looked better than he usually does at the beginning of that first round. He was aggressive, which is not the case for him usually, not in the last like 4 years at least. He was aggressive. He was throwing the right hand. He threw a couple of kicks. Made Dominick Reyes look pretty regular for the beginning of the fight, and then I guess just in his head decided this isn't painful enough, and per Dominick Reyes told him, "Please hit me. I just want to feel something." And I don't know. That's honestly super depressing. That's obviously coming from a depressed state, and you really hate to see it.
Yeah, man, and like I think I was saying it to y'all, man. Like he's a grown man, you know. you're not gonna be able to stop him from doing something like that. But you would think that the people closest to him, and like I don't know the people closest to him, and I don't know him personally in any way, shape, or form, but like you would think somebody would see the state of mind he was in and be like, nah, maybe we should call this off and put it off. I know he wanted to do it. Like I know he wanted to do it really bad. And like honestly, I'm not gonna tell the guy, like I'm not gonna get in his way. It was just like I'm a relatively empathetic person, and I like you could see it. I like the announcers when the fight started, they were like, oh, he's locked in. Like he went from crying to like ready to fight. Like, no, dude, you don't just go from
you just stop crying. That's it.
Yeah, he just stopped crying. He stopped crying. It was so sad. And then the more I learned about it after the fact, the sadder it got. In fact, my note here says "sad as hell" in all caps. It was such a bummer. Honestly, such a bummer. I hope he gets the help that he needs. Like I know, like there's been a lot of talk in boxing world with like Tank saying like I kind of want to go to therapy, but I don't want to lose that edge or whatever. I don't think that Anthony Smith is the same kind of mindset as that. But I really hope that he starts opening himself up to like really getting himself some help. At least, I mean, even like as a general rule, everybody at home as well. Like as a general rule, there are going to be times in your life where stuff's too heavy and you're going to need a little extra help than what you're used to. And like you can be as macho as you want to be, but ultimately, like the people around you like a lot of people care about you regardless of who you are, and take the help. Like even if it's medication, like for a short period of time or a long period of time, take the help. Like just please, like take the help. Don't go try to fight a dude so you can feel something, or drop your hand so he can punch you so you can feel something. Especially when it's Dominick Reyes. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, no, that is very sad, and I hope that people around him are pushing for him to get help a lot more than they were before the fight. Obviously, I'm not in his life. Neither one of us are. We don't know how it's been, but I hope somebody pushes it on him. And obviously, he's going to have to make the decision for himself. But hopefully,
you can't help a person who doesn't want to help themselves, you know. But I hope he wants to help himself. And I think like probably looking back now, he'll be able to see it clear. Like, wow, that was a very bad mindset. I should work on that or something. Like, I hope. I don't know. That's all we can do.
Right, 100%. All we can do is hope and pray for it. And then and I don't want to rain on Dominick Reyes' parade either. Like he got a W, he got a stoppage win. He needed that. His career needed that. Hopefully, the momentum continues. That's 2 in a row for him. So we'll see what happens with him. Next fight,
and it's not his job to take it easy on Smith when he's having a high. That's not his job. His job is to go out there and win. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah. Not at all. I mean, Anthony Smith's lucky he didn't head kick him, to be honest. But yeah, next fight we got Duo Choi. He looked great versus Nate Landwehr. That was a wash, one-sided. The right hand was landing at will. The leg kicks were nice. Uppercut early in the first round looked like he hurt him, and then he just starts ragdolling him. That was a breakout performance. I mean, it's not like Duo Choi hasn't been on the scene or anything like that, but he's been kind of absent here lately. I consider that a breakout fight for him, and I think next top 15, top 10 for him.
I mean, absolutely. I don't know where he's from, and I've never seen him before, but I would like the way he was pulling like Japan. It makes complete sense. I was about to say like his striking reminded me like it was so precise and so well, like his spacing was so good. It reminded me a lot of like Inoue and his style, or just generally the Japanese like boxing style of like they're just so good at occupying the space they need to and getting out of the space they don't need to, and then just precision. It was like you don't even have to have power, and when you're that accurate, you know, like I was really impressed, like super impressed.
Yeah, and on top of the precision, it's also the speed and the reaction time. Like just like the way that he landed those uppercuts, it was just like a little small opening, and Nate would drop and then boom, right up the middle, he put the uppercut on him.
It looked like a guy in his flow state. You know, he was just everything was going just right for him. I was super impressed by him, for sure.
Yeah, it looked like just hard sparring for him almost. Next fight we got Bryce Mitchell. What a goddamn character he is. But man, at like only 30 to 40 seconds into the fight, I found myself rooting for him, which usually I never would, but Jesus Christ, crying Gracie, what are you doing? He just goes out there, pulls guard like 4 or 5 times. For the audience or maybe the boxing fans that don't know what pulling guard means. It's when you jump on your opponent and you fall to your back to get them to grapple with you. It's almost the easiest way to take somebody down, but it's definitely the most, I don't know. It's a mix of defensive and offensive, because you pull them down because you don't want to strike with them, but you also pull them down because you think you're going to submit them generally. But Kron was just pulling guard, pulling Bryce Mitchell down, and then he was just sitting in the guard. He wasn't trying any submission attempts. He wasn't trying to sweep him, reverse him, get on top, nothing. Just pulling guard and just sitting in his guard and just laying there. And so Bryce Mitchell, I believe in the third round, finally, when he went to pull guard, he held him. And so he was holding him up a little bit, put his forearm on his face, and then slammed him down. So he didn't just go down on the ground with him and just consensually go down there. He did it forcefully. And then after he did that, he landed 2 elbows, and Crying Gracie was in Neverland. Man. Got him out there in the third round.
I'm with you. I'm not generally rooting for Bryce Mitchell. I don't have much against the dude. Like I was telling you, like I'm from rural West Texas, man. Like I know a million people just like him. He's doing it all in earnest. So you can't really knock the guy. I don't agree with him on hardly nothing, but I bet if we hung out in the same room, we could get along pretty well. But from his public persona or public perception, or my perception of his public face, he grates me to no end. But yeah, when he landed those elbows, I was like, okay, buddy, you did it. You nailed it. I was kind of equating it to, again, I'm a boxing guy, so I have to like do everything through that filter or whatever. But what Gracie was doing to me reminded me of in boxing, I call it like negative fighting. Like it takes some kind of skill, but it's ultimately it's bringing it all to a lull for your advantage. And I feel like what he was doing was negative fighting, and what Bryce did was positive all the way.
Got him out of there, which I think the whole MMA community was happy to see that, because I don't remember another time where I've saw a fighter pulling guard regularly but weren't trying submission attempt. Like that was a very weird, once in a lifetime type of situation. And I hope people see that fight and they see that that's not how you're supposed to do it. And it never happens again.
I bet we see it again. We'll probably.
I hope not. It kind of, it kind of reminded me of Ryan Hall and Ilia Topuria. And Ryan Hall is a very unorthodox submission guy, and he does those Aranami rolls where you roll over your, like do like a front flip on the ground, and you try to grab their leg and get them in a leg lock, or you just like fall backwards and try to trip them with your legs. It's very unorthodox, very weird. Kind of works for him for the most part, because he gets guys to the ground and then he just drowns them. Ilia Topuria was able to stay away from it. And then finally, one time Ryan tried to get him on the ground. He just started hammer fisting him, and then he knocked him out. It was very similar to that. And that too was very satisfying, because my brother, you are not fighting. Like this is not even fighting, Anyway, it was very satisfying. Next fight, we got Cyril Gane getting the split decision over Alexander Volkov. Didn't think that was going to go to the scorecard. I don't know, man. I honestly didn't score it round by round because I didn't think it would go to the scorecards, but every indication said that Alexander Volkov won the fight. I don't really think Gane landed really anything significant. A couple of uppercuts, a couple of jabs, a couple of leg kicks. I think Volkov controlled most of the pace. He kind of had to follow him around a little bit, but when he got into range, he landed great strikes. The spinning back fist hurt him, took him down a couple of times, landed some ground and pound. I don't know. I thought he won the fight. Dana White thought he won the fight. He said he was going to take care of him somehow for how it happened. But yeah, I mean, you hate to see it. I think everybody online is saying that they believe that that Alexander Volkov won the fight as well. So I don't know. Kind of sad.
Guess what judge scored it for Gane, or which one of the two?
Which one? Yeah. See. I mean, and this, yeah, and when it becomes repetitive like this, like we got to do something. We got to say something. Something's got to change about it.
See, I mean, at least, if we could at least, run them in, like, and I understand kind of why they try not to do that and everything, but just like run them out in front of press and let them explain themselves.
Yeah, they should be in the press conferences.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, you don't want people like targeting them for like, because people go crazy over some dumb stuff. So like, yeah. I've disagreed with a judge before where there was an argument for them. But at the time you get so worked up about it and everything, like you maybe some people don't think about things all the way through and do some damage or do something terrible. So I understand why they don't like put them front facing. But yeah, I mean, at least like maybe they should have a supervisor that they have to explain it to, and then that guy comes out and explains why they did what they did or whatever. I wasn't paying enough attention to say whether that was like a robbery or whatever. But I mean, I know that there's a lot of scorecards of hers that I vehemently disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember in the post-fight press conference, Dana White said that the commission, somebody from the commission came to him and kind of, it was weird how he said it. He said that the commission was talking in the verbiage of like, we thought the second round was really close, and we thought that Cyril Gane got the best of it, and there was a lot of big shots, and we felt like Volkov. And I'm just like, I don't understand where this we verbiage is coming from. If we're talking about judging a fight, we got 3 judges. Neither one of them should be talking. Neither one of them should be saying whether or not they agree with each other. I don't even think either one of them should be making their case to the commission because they're just judging the fight. Why is he coming over to Dana White and talking to him after the fight? Nothing about that made sense at all. It was very strange.
Well, we gotta remember who's saying the thing and like how did that conversation really happen and what did he say to like save face to his own organization or whatever. And nobody at the press that's there is going to press him on it. And he knows that. So I mean, he can just say whatever he wants. I don't necessarily not believe him because that's just like a weird thing to say for it to not be true. But I don't necessarily believe him either. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of on the fence because we're talking about the commission here, and he doesn't always get along with the commission. So he may be right. There might be some truth to it, but then again, he is a pathological liar. So maybe he just made it all up. Who knows? Anyway, yeah. Next,
they just said hello to each other.
Yeah, one of the two. Next fight, we got Shavkat versus Ian Machado Gary. That was a very good fight. I think. I don't know. Shavkat won the fight. I agree with the scorecard that Shavkat won the fight. I would say Ian Gary kind of walks out as the biggest winner here. Like, he obviously was the only person. It was established, discussed, and repeated and reported that everybody turned down the Shavkat fight. Everybody in like the top 10, 15 turned it down. Ian Gary was the only person that would step up on short notice and fight this absolute monster who has been marketed as the boogeyman of the division. He's been showing that he's the boogeyman of the division, finishing guys like Jeff Neal, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This is the only victory that he has that went to the scorecard. So obviously,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, a scary guy. And Ian Gary, I mean, everybody thought he got to the top by just talking, but no, Ian Gary can squab. He showed that he belongs in there.
Absolutely. I mean, I was paying as much attention to that one as I could, and I was I mean, it's high. They're high level, MMA fighters, of course. But Gary like belonged in the octagon with him, like absolutely belonged in there with him. So I agree with you. I think his stock rose more than Shavkat's did,
for sure.
And then there was like after the fact, they said, well, I guess Shavkat's team said that he had like an MCL tear or something. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, so I saw. I looked into it a little bit. I think Daniel Cormier is saying that he got that news from his team, and then I've seen
just
other
tells people everything, man.
He just leaks the shit as soon as he touches his phone. He doesn't even ask if you want him to know.
Like, hey, check out this. Check out his bottom teeth. Like, what do you? Let the man have some privacy.
I sent that to you, not like not everybody. Yeah,
exactly.
leaks the shit right away. So, but I did see that his team were telling some other people that they're not sure what it was. They're gonna have an MRI and let us know for sure. But apparently there was something that he was dealing with that was very, very limiting, I would say, in his fighting. And I don't know if that's the case.
I might say that too.
Yeah, well, I mean, he won the fight at the end of the day, but he didn't look impressive as he usually does. As far as like what he does to his matchup, but at the end of the day, that version of Ian Gary looked very hard to beat. So I'm still impressed by Shavkat. I thought a couple of those head kicks were gonna land. I flinched when he threw them a couple of times, and they were just kind of like right here. Like I was like, oh Lord, did a great job. And then they bought Belal Muhammad in the octagon. Hilarious tidbit from that. The security guard wasn't trying to let him in. They didn't know he was a champion or something. It's so funny. I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, they forgot his name, and she busted out laughing. His nickname is Remember the Name, and he can't even get into the octagon when he's the champion of the division. That's terrible.
They didn't remember his name. They didn't remember his face. They just didn't remember nothing about it. He was just some guy trying to get in the octagon to do.
You got to start walking around with the belt, my guy. If like at this point, especially after that happens, you're the champion. You got to start walking around with the belt like the rest of the champions,
or a name tag, or a shirt with your own face on it. Like whatever. Do something.
Yeah, do something. Yeah, you can't just show up in sweatpants and think everybody knows who you are, my guy. So then the main event, we got Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. That fight was not close at all. Very, very one-sided. Alexandre Pantoja showed that he is one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world. And here's why I say that. Not because I think Kai Asakura is a world beater or anything like that. He looked very good. I think he's a very good fighter. Didn't know much about him before this. I knew he was the champion at Ryzen. But Alexandre Pantoja's composure is what impressed me. Beyond what I thought I was going to be impressed with him. The way that he avoided all of the chaos that Kai Asakura was trying to bring to him. He fought off any takedowns. He landed his takedowns. He landed his right hand when he needed to. He kicked. He got in and out of the space. That void that Demetrius Johnson calls it, like that in-between space. He stayed out of that when he needed to. He pressed the action when he needed to. Kai Asakura was laughing and smiling. Alexandre Pantoja was stale-faced the whole time. It was just the way that he was just locked in and focused and composed was very impressive to me. And he ended up getting the fight to the ground, finishing with a rear naked choke and retaining the champion. There's not much you can say. Kai Asakura, this is his first fight in the UFC, and they gave him a title shot immediately. And I looked to my girlfriend during the fight and I said, this is such a win-win for Dana White. I said, because if Alexandre Pantoja wins this fight, Dana White is going to say exactly this. I told y'all that that our guys are better than their guys. Our guys are better than the PFL's guys. Our guys are better than Bellator's, Ryzen, ONE FC, all of them. If Kai Asakura wins this fight, then he has a big, amazing superstar from Japan, and they're going to make a boatload of money going there. It's literally a win-win. And the former happened rather than the latter, but he would have been happy regardless of what happened. Alexandre Pantoja won. Now we know the UFC guys are better than the Ryzen guys, and all things are well.
Yeah, that was a Don King situation. Either way, I'm walking out with a champion.
Exactly.
So Kai Asakura came from Rise, and I'm guessing he was very good there.
Oh yeah, he had a bunch.
So do you think he's got a future in the UFC? Whether he's probably not going to become a champion or whatever.
He might become a champion. We don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen with Alexandre Pantoja. Not like he's gonna retire tomorrow or anything like that. But you got to think about him possibly moving up to 135. He's kind of been flirting with it for a while. He might move up permanently. I don't know. He might move up and down. I don't know. But yeah, I do think Kai Asakura is going to be successful in the UFC. I don't know what exactly success looks like for him. It might be like Michael Chandler's success, to where every time he's on the damn card, you turn that motherfucker on because you never know what's going to happen. It might be a straight up barn burner. He might get knocked out. He might knock the other guy out. He's got a very exciting style, which that is always going to make him successful in the UFC, no matter how good you are.
Yeah, man. Fun's fun, baby. Fun is fun.
Yeah, we love fun fighters. But yeah, that was a good card. Like I said, like I knew going into it, good top to bottom, nothing jumped off the page crazy. Just the amount of good scraps and the names that were on it. Then we got the top rank card. What are your main takeaways there?
All right, so it was an awesome card. It was fun. It was deep. I watched the whole thing. Had a blast. Me and my wife watched it. She watches probably the second most boxing on earth, with me being the first. She falls asleep is the only difference or whatever. But so right off the bat, there was a Cesar Morales from Mexico. They were putting him in there with this fella, Kevin Mosquera. I forget where he was from, but it was not. Oh no, it's coming to me. I want to say it was Panama. I could be wrong. Anyway, so this kid, Mosquera, is 2-0, and he's fighting this Cesar Morales, who had a very impressive amateur career, from what I can tell. They was pretty much set up for Morales to take it home, because it's kind of I guess, Hispanic night, top rank card over there in Phoenix or whatever. Right off the bat, Mosquera was like doing what he needed to do. I mean, he was kind of pot shotting, getting his jabs in. He was avoiding all the big shots. This Morales dude, they were saying in his amateur days, he looked like a professional as an amateur. You know, power shots. He's going for the knockout. He's not trying to like outpoint you or whatever. Mosquera took it in the other direction. He was just trying to outpoint him. The commentators were acting as if Morales was the one that was just like dictating everything. I was like, oh no. I mean, it's only a 4-rounder, so the likelihood for robbery is pretty high. So I was like, oh man, they're gonna rob my boy Kevin. I loved his name, so I was like, oh, Kevin. And then at the end, I was like, they're definitely gonna rob my boy. He ended up getting a knockdown in the third. It wasn't like a dazed him kind of thing, but he did knock him down, technically speaking. So it was a 10-8 round right there. And they ended up giving him a majority decision. Kevin Mosquera, that is. It was 39-36, 38-37, and 38-38, one draw or whatever, which I don't really love that score, but the right guy won, and I was very, very impressed with the commission, the judges, whatever, that the right guy won. They could have easily given it to Morales. So that was impressive.
We're talking about top rank too. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but yeah, it's very shady sometimes. But I will commend them. 2-0 versus a 0-0. That's kind of very surprising, especially when we're talking about lower level boxing guys. Not lower level. Obviously, this guy has a decorated amateur career, but we're talking about guys early in their career. Early in their career, you're in your debut fight. You're 1-0, you're 2-0. You're fighting guys with really upside down records, 3-19, 4-15, stuff like that. So I'll commend them for that at the very least.
Absolutely. Cesar Morales, absolutely. It was a good first match. I'm impressed with the matchmaking. I'm impressed that he took it. I'm impressed with his team letting him. They obviously really believe in the guy, and it's probably for a reason. I've got a good feeling it's gonna be a lot like Robeisy Ramirez, where maybe he loses his pro debut, but can turn it around pretty quick, because he did have a professional style. He just didn't quite have it locked in the way he needed to against this particular kind of fighter. I think he's going to have a good career, judging by his first fight being a loss. You know, I think Kevin Mosquera is going to have one of those exciting careers. One of them guys that may not win all of them, but he's going to pull some stuff off that surprise people. And I'm looking forward to both of their careers. Honestly, learned about two new fighters, and I'm always happy to do that. And then there was more undercard, but we'll skip through most of it. Richard Torres Jr., that's my dude. He plays Gaston in the what is it called, the Beauty and the Beast, in his junior college. He looks exactly like Gaston. Does a great job. I think it's like tap dancing or something. But he's a cultured nerd guy, but also big for a human, very small for a heavyweight. He went against this dude Isaac Munoz, who I don't know if you saw. Oh God, what is that? What is the name of that movie? Sorry, it's not coming to me.
Spy Kids.
Spy Kids. Exactly.
I know exactly what you're thinking of.
My wife said he looks like a thumb. This is Isaac Munoz we're talking about. Sorry, Isaac. You're a good fighter, sneaky good fighter. You do look kind of like a human thumb. But yeah, Richard Torres, he went in there. Munoz was like throwing some shots in there that were just, he had faster hands than it looked like he had, and he was popping some stuff off in the first round. You're just like, dang, this might end up being a good fight. It wasn't. Torres just took over and beat the crap out of him. Basically, Munoz was not going to go down, not anytime soon, and he ate a bivvy of unanswered punches. And the ref just like, all right, man, if like you're not even throwing back, I'm just going to save you from yourself. It was a good call. It was a good stoppage. And Richard Torres gets another KO. I think his last one went to decision. I believe it went to decision, but it was because it was stopped early. This one was done in the third round out of, I believe it was an 8-round fight. So good job. I hope you do great things. I really like Richard Torres Jr. I love these little tiny heavyweights. Like they're like my favorite dudes. Alan Savage Babbage and Richard Torres need to fight. That's the matchup I'm going to be calling for. I've done it for 2 years. I'm going to call for it until it happens. Alan Babbage, Richard Torres, get in there, fight. Anyway, the next fight is Giovanni Santiago.
Real quick, why isn't Richard Torres fighting at cruiserweight? I feel like he's very small heavyweight, very short heavyweight. Could he be a cruiserweight? Can he make cruiserweight?
Maybe. I think he's dense. I think he's small, but he's dense.
Yeah, he's definitely not fat.
No, and he keeps getting more and more muscular. It's really weird. But I think that if I were to guess, like one of his heroes is Usyk, of course. And when the money's at heavyweight over cruiserweight, 2, you don't have to actually diet. You know, you can build up muscle because he's a growing boy anyway. He's young. I think he's like 25 or 23 or 25 or something. I mean, whatever you think about the bridgerweight division, there might be a good place for him to go. But honestly, money's at heavyweight. Names are at heavyweight. He's doing all right where he's at, and I think he's just going to see how far he can take it. I mean, he did great in the Olympics. At I think it was either heavyweight or super heavyweight. And so I'm thinking he's going to see how far he can rock with it. I don't know exactly how tall he is. I want to say he's like 6'2", which is tall. It's not tall for a heavyweight, but Usyk's only, I think he's 6'3". So you never know. Like these short guys are figuring it out. And if anything, it just makes it more of an accomplishment to beat these gigantic heavyweights that are like proliferating the division right now. So maybe he's just going for the glory, man. I don't know. Probably for the money right now, but maybe for the glory in the long term. I've got no idea. I'd love to ask him. Torres, hit me up. Tell me why you're a heavyweight.
Yeah, tell me too. I'd like to know. I've seen way too many fighters who are not heavyweights fight a heavyweight and not be successful. Maybe there's something I don't know. I just don't think he's the world beater that he should be fighting at heavyweight. Maybe the short-term money is there, but maybe the long-term money is at cruiserweight if you're the undisputed champion and you win a bunch of fights. Who knows? Anyway.
I mean, let's ask Jai Opatai, the reigning champion right now, how much money he's making. It's probably not as much as even like a top 15 heavyweight, you know? And I mean, this is from the knowledge of nothing. I really don't know anything about it. I'm just assuming, really, more than anything.
His name is a big ticket, kind
of. It is to boxing fans. It's not for general public. But yeah, Jai Tyson, badass, complete badass.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of badasses, you had Giovanni Santillan. He was coming off a loss, I think. He was coming up against Frederick Lawson. If you remember, Frederick Lawson got stopped in the first against Virgil Ortiz.
He's watching.
It was that thing where Tony Weeks had like seen a brain scan or something and was like, I'm saving him from himself. And then nobody saw the brain scan, so we don't know one way or the other. He's had a couple fights since then. But Santillan just ran him over, man. Just absolutely ran him over. Lawson didn't have a single thing for him. I think the end of the round happened and he knew he had nothing. And so the ref was just like, all right, you want to stop? And he said, yeah. So they stopped it. Good for him for knowing when to stop, I guess. Good for Santillan for getting another win. So I love the dude. I really like the way he fights. He's pulled off some miraculous stuff in the past, and I think he's still got a pretty bright future. So hopefully Frederick Lawson also has a bright future, if not in boxing, maybe in life, because he saved himself a pretty bad beating by calling it after the first round.
Yeah, and that's good presence of mind there to get himself out of there, because in boxing it happens a lot more often. It happens not very often in MMA, but like sometimes your corners, your guys are not your guys. Like, if I'm in there and I'm just getting fucked up, like, please stop the fight, get me out of there. Good presence of mind in him, be like, all right, this ain't gonna work for me. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I'd like to stop this fight.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, live to fight another day, or live to just live.
Yeah.
Either way is a net positive to the people who love him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the next one was Landolfo Delgado fighting my boy Jackson Marinez. I love Marinez. I've loved Marinez his entire career. I remember he first came on my radar when he fought Rolly Romero. Got one of the worst robberies I've ever seen. Romero could not touch the dude. He got outboxed from pillar to post, and he won a wide decision at the end of it.
Wow.
I felt terrible for him. He's had some ups and downs since then. Fought Richard Comey, lost that one. Won a couple more times. He ended up going against Delgado, and man, when it started off, I thought it was going to be a Marinez fight, dude. He was outboxing him, no problem. Like, it was all Marinez, El Phoenix. He was just doing great. I was like, finally, a big time win in front of people. I was pretty excited about it. And Delgado catches him in the fifth and just mollywops him. It was after he got rocked that first time, his body couldn't sustain to the pressure, and he got TKO'd in the fifth round. I believe he was dropped he was definitely dropped really hard. I think it was twice. Yeah. But then, the best part, we're going into the co-main of the top ranked card, and that is the reigning champion Rafael Espinoza fighting Robeisy Ramirez in a rematch. I loved the first fight. I cried. I literally cried. I do that from time to time, y'all. I'm pretty emotional. It gets worse as you get older, but yeah, he broke his foot, got dropped so hard in the fifth round, got up, fell down again, got up again, and then outboxed this phenomenal boxer in Robeisy Ramirez. Ended up winning the championship. I loved it. I loved it so much. And then both of them have fought since then. Both of them got TKOs, and they finally did this rematch. And I was nervous, man, because Ramirez is a smart enough boxer, good enough boxer, talented enough, and definitely smart enough to make the adjustments necessary to get it back. And he made those adjustments. The first part of the fight, it was pretty much all Ramirez. He was just getting off what he needed to get off. Espinoza was more or less following him around, just trying to. He was building momentum, but it was not happening all that fast. He was landing some good shots from time to time, but Ramirez was just doing what he needed to do in there. And then in the sixth round, Robeisy comes out. He's looking a little worse for the wear. His eyes swollen up. And very first punch he gets off was Espinoza straight right to his right eye. Boom. He feels it. And then he just puts his hands up, said, I'm done. I'm finished. And apparently what he said after the fight was that he ate a bunch, like Espinoza elbows a lot. So he ate some elbows in the fifth round that ended up hurting his eye. And so he wasn't going to continue after that. I guess the broadcast crew in the van were looking and did not find any landed elbows on that fight. They did see a punch land, a left landed, then he kind of maybe scraped his eyeball a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I don't feel what he's feeling, but he called the fight right then. And then the way that Joe Tessitore was going in on this guy about quitting,
bro,
it was disgusting.
I was going to talk about this.
Yeah, please, let's do it. Like, I was so mad at him.
And he okay, so basically he looks over to Tim Bradley and says, that Hall of Fame ring that you have is because and you, like other Hall of Fame fighters, have this thing in common to where y'all just don't quit, and it doesn't matter what happens, you'll never take an easy way out, and calling this guy a quitter. But he prefaced it by saying, with all respect, and then continues to repeatedly disrespect him, question his character, question his heart.
Good for him. It's good for him. But you're a bitch.
Very condescending.
Dude, it's terrible. And then, like, the irony of him telling that to Tim Bradley, who has been so honest about the effects of the Provodnikov fight on his brain for months after the fact, probably still has lasting damage to this day. I know Bradley knows. I don't know their dynamic on camera. I'm sure he wasn't going to be like, bro, like, you're very wrong. But it seemed like they were trying to get this story going about how Robeisy Ramirez is a quitter and champions don't quit and stuff. It's one, you don't know what the dude's going through. You don't know what he's feeling. You don't know what he's seeing in there. Lay off if he wants to survive and go on, because the dude's a promising, like, he's a great fighter. He can move on and do good stuff after this. He doesn't need to fight Espinoza a million times. He doesn't need to keep taking shots to the eye. And it turns out he had broke his orbital in 2 different places.
Literally had a broken face.
Of course he did, because obviously, if it didn't hurt a fuck ton, he probably would have never quit in the first place. I think it was terrible what they did, or how they talked about him. I'm not a big fan of the way fans were talking about him, but there's nothing, whatever. Fans are fans. Some of them are terrible, including me at times, but the way, like, it was just that weird, the Top Rank thing of just like shitting on the guy for quitting against Espinoza was getting momentum. He hits very hard. His hands are incredibly heavy. He's got that long, lanky dude stuff. He's got one of the most beautiful uppercuts in the game. And it was only a matter of time before he was going to start landing them at will, especially if the dude can't see. So, yes, good for you, Robeisy. That was a good move quitting when you did. I hope you get to see for the rest of your life, and I hope that you fix those orbital bones. I'm really sorry for the way you were treated, man. That was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you talk about how the fans react to stuff, you can very often relate that to how the broadcast team treated it. Because I see it all the time in both boxing and MMA. The broadcast team pushes this narrative. They say things so many times that it seems like it's true, and then you got guys online who are typing it like it's fact when it's been an opinion the entire time. And so people are going to be calling him a quitter when, I mean, that it couldn't be further from the truth, especially when we literally have the evidence that his face is broken. A broken orbital is your face being broken. And if you can't see, you're fighting a taller guy who can punch, by the way, and it's only the 6th round, you're not in good shape.
No, he had 6 more rounds of that, and you're seeing double because your freaking eye is broken. Like, what are we doing here? And I don't know how much of it is, the producers of Top Rank, or I'm picking on Top Rank right now, but people do it everywhere. But like, if it's producers being like, hey, this is what we're going to run with, or if it is like they're reading like Twitter or whatever, and then seeing the fan reaction and trying to like get on top of it so they're on the right side of the fan reaction or something, or if it's just them completely influencing the way the fans see it in the first place. But no, y'all are better than that. Y'all are professional men. Y'all watch boxing for a living, get paid to do it. You know how difficult it is. You know how hard it is to do, and how hard it is to continue when nothing's going your way. And it's not even that nothing was going his way and he gave up. His fucking face was broken. Like, I'm getting like upset about it, talking about it. I was so mad about it.
I was pissed.
But congratulations. I love Rafael Espinoza. He's going to have a long, awesome career. I love the way he fights. I'm glad that this one's done and he can move on to the next. I can't wait to see what happens. And I hope Robeisy, maybe take a year off, get your eye right. And if you feel like you can come back, then come back. If not, screw them. They don't love you. Why? You don't got to love them either, That's what I think about it anyhow. And then, which brings us to the main event, which was Emanuel Navarrete, Vaquero Navarrete fighting Oscar Valdez in their rematch. I'm a huge Oscar Valdez fan. Our family, we're a Valdez house. We love the guy. We've always loved the guy. Love everything about him. He really does embody not just the warrior mentality, but just a fighter. He just fights. I love Emanuel Navarrete as well. He's one of a kind. You'll never see another fighter fight like he does. He can pull stuff off that nobody has ever done before and nobody can do since then because they're not him. He looks out of shape. He ain't out of shape. He's got mad stamina. He throws a million punches. Anyway, so their first fight, Navarrete pretty much took over the whole thing. Valdez had a little success at the end, but it was a wide decision for Navarrete. And so this one, been about a year out. Navarrete had a couple of less than stellar performances. Valdez had a pretty good performance. Liam Wilson getting that knockout and everything. So I thought, well, Valdez is one. He's pretty smart. He knows that he was getting drawn into a firefight the first time. He knows he was fighting Navarrete's fight, which everybody does, but you can't do it again.
You can't not.
You can't do it. Yeah. So I thought, the adjustments were being made. The fight starts. The adjustments were made, man. Valdez, I was so proud of him. He was. You could tell he had a different game plan. He was being very smart about it. First round was kind of nip and tuck, but I thought Valdez had the upper hand in that one. And, of course, right at the end, he gets dropped. All right, whatever. It's okay. Don't freak out. Go out there and just stay calm. Keep to the game plan. He does it. Second round. he has success, and then Navarrete has success. Third round, same thing. He has success. Navarrete has success towards the end or whatever. Fourth round was more of the same, except for he gets dropped in the fourth round. I think it was a dubious drop. I need to rewatch it in slow motion or something. I thought he fell more like he just fell, and they called it a knockdown. I don't feel very strongly one way or the other. I just didn't think it was a knockdown. Fifth round is when to me, like after those two knockdowns, he knew he was behind. He was getting a little bit more desperate and started fighting Navarrete's fight again. He was getting brought into a firefight, which that's Navarrete's game, baby. And so Valdez was able to he was throwing some get off me punches. He was able to land a couple of really good get off me punches, but sixth round, it all became too much, man. Navarrete set him up with he threw a little right jab to just kind of pick his head up, and then just went around with a left hook and bodied him. It was terrible to see. And like I said, I love Navarrete. I love the dude. Can't wait to see him again. Congratulations. But Valdez dropped, and you could see, this is what I want to talk about with this fight, basically. That's one of the reasons I love boxing so much, is the stories involved and like the human element of all of it. The poetry of accomplishing things that you never thought you could, or that you knew you could and nobody else thought. From the very beginning, from the walk-ins, from the interviews for the week of, you could see it in Valdez's eyes. He worked so hard to do what he came there to do. He wanted it so bad. He wanted to get that win so bad. And when he got dropped with that body shot, you could see in his eyes that he wanted to get up more than anything on earth. His body was not going to let him get up. That was an awful, awful shot. And then after that, it was just heartbreaking. I'm getting like misty-eyed talking about it, man. That man wanted it so much. He worked so hard, and that's the tragedy of it all, man. He lost to a great fighter. There's no shame in any of that. You can't fight. Basically, if you're not Navarrete's size, you're not going to be able to beat him. I learned that with Isaac Dogboe when he became my mortal enemy, because I love Dogboe. And then I came around, and now I appreciate the man for what he is, which is hilarious to watch and super unorthodox. And I love him. I love that he's kind of tubby in the middle and everything. And his arms are he just does amazing things. A lead left uppercut that nobody should land, but he can land it from clear across the ring. Love the dude, but it was just such a tragic, tragic ending for Valdez. I thought going in that if he doesn't win this one, there's a good chance he's going to retire, because he's probably not going to get another shot at a title anytime soon. He had a great career. He's done phenomenal things, overperformed compared to his, I guess a way to say it is there are people who are extremely talented and work very hard, and they get very, very far. There are some people that don't have these physical advantages. They're not incredibly fast. They're not incredibly strong. They're not incredibly tall. That through sheer dedication and know-how are able to go to the very top of the sport against most odds. And he was one of those guys. Hard work, being smart, fighting, just never giving up no matter what. I mean, the dude fought how many rounds with a broken jaw? It was insane. That was a long time ago. And then he came back, and then he learned how to fight a different way. That I don't know. I don't think it's the end of his career. He said something more or less of "I'll be back." I don't know if that was just something that he said or something that he felt deep within him. I can't imagine he was in a good headspace after that. It was just absolutely heartbreaking. Anyway, that's how that one ended. I love you, Valdez. Yeah. Whether you have a good career doing commentary, I wish I could speak Spanish so I could listen to it. Congratulations to Navarrete. He kept his WBO title, and he's gonna do some awesome stuff. I hear they're gonna try to make the Oshaki Foster Navarrete fight, and that fight is intriguing as all hell, because Oshaki Foster's pretty tall.
Yeah, that's a very intriguing fight. That's a very fun fight. What I'll say, I'll say, Emanuel Navarrete, he did what he said he was going to do. Two things I remember into the lead up of this fight. He said, one, I was a compromised fighter. My left hand was fucked. And he said, two, we're not going to decision this time. And he made it happen. He like you said, he can do some things that you've that you've never seen before, or that just shouldn't work. You know, you might have seen it before, but you might have saw it at the gym with, you know, that sparring partner that you know you're gonna beat the piss out of, and you know what I'm saying, he's just doing stuff
when it glitches or something like that.
Right. Yeah, some very unorthodox, weird stuff. He makes it work very well. And then, I mean, you couple the pressure with the power, with the ruthless aggression, and somehow being able to punch you from the other side of the ring from his rear hand. It's just
There's no
so
safe
weird
place. There's no safe place with Navarrete.
Yeah. He makes the ring small as shit, and then he just fucks you up. Like it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But like I said,
he throws him like it's just like, I don't know, like tossing a ball to a kid or something. He just throws them with such ease, and it's just boom, boom. But his hands are so heavy and devastating. At 130, at 135, he looked less than stellar against Baranchyk, like you said. He said he messed some tendons up in his left hand. I'm interested to see if he goes back to 135 at some point to try again. I think he would have more success against maybe not somebody who fights like Baranchyk, maybe somebody who comes forward a little bit more like Valdez, more like most of the dudes at 130. I think O'Shaquie Foster and him is going to be a great fight at 130. It's a stellar possibilities for Foster, but you could see in his face when that fight was over, he was hoping that Valdez was going to win that fight. Now he's going to fight Navarrete, and I don't think I know O'Shaquie Foster's a comeback kid. He's a cardiac attack fighter, and like he can get behind and he can figure out a way to win. I just don't see being able to take those like devastating punches that you can't see coming. Safe place. You can't jab your way out of it. You can't dodge your way out of it. I don't see how he's going to win it, but if anybody can figure it out or will themselves to do it, I think Foster can. But that's yet to be seen. Fight's not announced. We'll see what happens. You know.
I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to see too, because I feel like O'Shaquie Foster has been kind of pulled into a dogfight before. He has a tendency to do that, and I think anywhere below middleweight, Emanuel Navarrete is probably the last person that you want to be in a dogfight with. He is going to hurt you, he is going to drown you, and he's going to stop you. So that's not a good idea by any means.
Even if he moves up to the point of being oversized, Navarrete, it ain't going to be fun for the person fighting him. You can beat him. He's beatable. He absolutely is beatable. But it ain't going to be easy, and it's not going to be fun, and you're not going to have a good time at all, no matter what.
Yeah, it's weird too. Like you said, he looks like he's out of shape. He looks like he's fueled by Bud Light or fucking Modelo Cerveza and cigarettes or something. It's like the way he's built, but he's like peak male athletic form, fast, strong-willed, knows exactly what he's doing in there, and he's there to fuck you up. It's the only way to put it.
Absolutely, and that was the best. Like, as heartbreaking as it was a great juxtaposition of mindsets of you can try everything under the sun. You can try absolute hardest. You can want it the most. You can do everything you can, and it's everything a single person could do to win a fight. And sometimes a dude who like doesn't really give a shit is still gonna win. That's life, baby, and that's the the poetry of boxing, the poetry of fighting in general. It's the tragedy of it all that makes the good parts so good. And there's something beautiful in tragedy in and of itself. It's not good. You got to appreciate all aspects of the fight game if you're going to be watching as many fights as we do. At least.
There's the thrill and the agony always, and you'll never be able to appreciate your favorite fighter getting a big victory, the biggest victory of their life, if you don't see another one of your favorite fighters get glassed in the second round. It's just part of it. It is what it is. It's why we love the sport so much, and I will never stop loving it. It's always going to give back to me, and I'm trying my best to put as much into it as possible. With that, we have a couple of things we want to go over, but we're almost at an hour and 10 here. I think we should wrap it up.
Pretty quick.
Wrap it up and try to get another episode out as soon as possible. But everybody that stuck around this whole time and everybody that tuned in, I appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure y'all drop us a like, follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. We everywhere. Global Fight Talk. We're gonna get as much content as we can as possible. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. From Dallas Owens to Sav Maddox. Everybody have a great one.